Hey everyone, welcome back. Today I want to talk to you about the Mormon Temple. In fact, I'm going to produce a series on the Mormon Temple. And the reason I am is it is so difficult to get the skinny about what goes on in the Mormon Temple. The only people that know are the Mormon people, and they are sworn to secrecy. They are so tight-lipped that they won't share a thing. So this is part one of a series that I will produce over the coming weeks, and I hope that you find it invaluable, that you find it a tool that can help you reach the Mormon people for Christ. Now, one of the things that I see among the Christian people is they have a hunger to understand the temple. And it seems like they do it because they are just drawn to the sensational, scandalous, crazy, occultic things that might go on in the temple. But I want you instead to understand what goes on in the temple so that you can understand the Mormon people and help them turn to a reliable source of salvation that they don't know right now. You see, facts matter. Facts are so important, and nothing will damage our credibility faster than going to a person of the Mormon faith and saying, well, in the Mormon Temple, you do this or you do that, different things, different crazy, sensational, weird, strange things. You tell them this is what you do, and they know that you don't have a clue. From that moment on, all your efforts will be toast because you've discredited yourself with information you thought to be true, but information that in fact is just not relevant. And that, sadly, is the information that most Christians get when they try to learn about what goes on in the temple. You see, facts do matter. Case in point, if you Google Lance Earl, my name, Jim Guthrie, Christy Perry, you will see a number of returns. Now, I used to be a political columnist for a major Idaho newspaper. I also had a political blog. And it was so important that I always published the truth. You see, this story broke a decade ago, and if you Google those names, Lance Earl, Christy Perry, Jim Guthrie, you will still see an endless list of columns about a sexual affair between two Idaho state lawmakers. Two lawmakers who violated the trust of their spouses, two lawmakers who violated their duties to the people of Idaho. And the crazy thing is, I knew that this affair was ongoing at least a year before I published the story. And the reason I did is because it's not okay to publish what we know to be true if we can't prove what we know. Because if I had published these things without evidence, certainly there would have been lawsuits, there would have been proceedings in the courts. I may have lost everything. And so it's very risky to do that. And while you probably won't be sued, again, if you publish something that can't be established, your credibility will be lost, and you will have no hope of reaching the Mormon people. So as we reach out to the Mormon people, let us reach out and let us treat everything as carefully as I had to as a political columnist who was exposing and threatening the careers of powerful people in the state of Idaho. We have to speak truth and only truth. So am I qualified? Am I qualified to talk to you about the Mormon Temple? I think I am. I first served in the temple when I believe I was 12. I was a young boy, and I was taken to the temple to do baptisms for the dead, and that's kind of an assembly line type of a procedure. I would go into the font, and it's a big, beautiful font. It sits on the back of 12 oxen. I would go down into the water, and a man would stand and grab me and he'd lift his arm to the square, and he would say, I think I can get this right. He would say, Lance Earl, having been commissioned of Jesus Christ, I baptize you for and in behalf of Joe Blow, who is dead. And I would come back up and gasp for air. And as I'm gasping for air, I'm blinking the water out of my eyes. He's already saying, Lance Earl, having been commissioned of Jesus Christ, I baptize you for and on behalf of Ronald Spurskaniski, who is, I don't know, pick a name, who is dead. And down I would go. And it was, 20 baptisms just back to back. Later on, I did that as a baptizer, where I would stand and literally take these young kids and nearly drown them in just rapid fire baptisms. That was my first experience in the Mormon Temple. In 1977, Grace and I, on our first anniversary, we went and we received our washing and anointings, and we'll talk about that in a later episode. After we received our washing anointings, we were dressed in the holy Mormon garments. We went into a special room where we received our new names. We went through the endowment procedure, which is, well, that'll be covered later on as well. We did all that was required to pass through the veil and enter into a room that is supposed to represent the highest level of the Mormon kingdom, the celestial, or the Mormon heaven, the celestial kingdom. And when we had finished that, we were taken into a special room where we knelt across the altar and took each other by the hand in the patriarchal grip, or the sure sign of the nail. It's one of those handshakes that you hear about. A man then stood over us and declared that we were pronounced us husband and wife for time and all eternity, the eternal Mormon family that you hear about. From 1977 until 2016, Grace and I faithfully attended the Mormon Temple, but all these return visits were a little different. This time we went back to go through those same ordinances, everything from the first washing and anointing through sealings, every step of the process. But we did it for people that were dead. I would go in and I would receive the name of a dead man. Grace would receive the name of a dead woman, and we would go through and acting as proxies for them, we would go through those same ordinances again. Now, Grace was the first and only member of her family to join the Mormon Church. Her older brother died in his infancy. His father and mother died when she was 5 and 9, respectively. And so we later jumped through the steps, did all that was necessary so that we could go in and do all of those ordinances for them. Again, starting with baptism and washing and anointing, we did every step for them up through and until the point where I knelt down on one side of the altar in proxy for Grace's father, Grace on the other side standing in for her mother. And then we had to find a volunteer that would be at the end of the altar, and we would take each other again in the patriarchal grip, the sure sign of the nail. The person acting as proxy for her brother laid his hands on top of ours, and on behalf of them, we sealed them as an eternal family, a family for time and all eternity. And we really thought at that time that we were building eternal families. We believed that was the case. I was called, set apart, to work as a temple ordinance worker, and I served in that position for many, many years. And as an ordinance worker, I was now not serving as the proxy, but I was serving as an administrator, working over and administering those ordinances that are required in the temple. And so, drawing upon these experiences, I am going to set out over a series of many videos to tell you about the temple experience. But it's interesting because the ordinances and the procedures of the temple change so often that while I will speak to you authoritatively about what goes on in the temple, I can only represent the ongoing practices in the temple from 1968 until 2016. Because in the years prior to that, it was different. And since that time, there have been many changes. The Mormon people struggle with this on an ongoing basis. It's really strange to me looking back on my time as a Mormon, because nothing was set in stone. Everything was subject to change. There was nothing I could count on. And now as a Christian, I realize that the things that were true for Adam and Moses, those things are true for me. Nothing has changed from beginning to end. It's the same God. It's the same salvation we believe, and it is accounted to us as righteousness, and we find our salvation not in the things we do, and we don't find our damnation in the things we fail to do. We find salvation in the grace of God, which is a free gift to anyone and everyone who will believe. Of the two of us, Grace was the first to question her faith, and it was because of an ongoing flood of new doctrines and new policies and new procedures. They would be announced over the pulpit of church. We would go to the temple and we would see that suddenly things are different, and it made her a little bit crazy, and she figured that out before I am. And for those people that know me best, know that she's the smart one and I'm the slow one, and so that's not a surprise. But we saw so many changes. They came and went, and they became increasingly alarming for us because we had nothing we could count on. Things we once believed were just swept away and replaced with other things. Blood atonement came and went. The person of God came and went. The mechanics of Jesus' conception came and went. Jesus' ability to forgive all sins came and went. Persecution of black people, it came and it went. The ability of worthy men to rule over their own planet as a God came and went. The promise, as God is, man may be, gone. Adam-God doctrine came and went. Blood penalties in the temple. I used to swear to cut my throat or open my chest or open my abdomen and die before I would tell you what I'm telling you now. But they were promises I made with a God who is no God, and therefore the promises aren't binding. The prohibition against caffeinated drinks came and went. The standards for ear piercings came and went. The requirement for women to not wear open-toed shoes and to always wear nylon stockings came and went. The 5 points of fellowship and Pele-El came and went. Temple garment standards came and went. Hatred for Christianity came and went. Gospel definition, what the gospel actually is, what it means, how it's defined, came and went. The assurance of the fully restored gospel came and went. And now that the gospel is not fully restored, the door has been opened for every Mormon prophet as they come along to make other truths go away and replace them with new things and call it the ongoing restoration of the church. The authority to baptize the dead in the temples came and went. Prohibition against beards, sleeveless clothing, tattoos came and went. It's crazy. And the thing is, as these things change, the Mormon people are always required to sweep aside things that they once thought were essential for their salvation, replace them with something else, and try to make it all fit as truth. And it's just a struggle. I did a webcast once where I talked about snapshot Mormons, and I believe that that's a reality. You see, I'm giving you a snapshot of the Mormon Temple between 1968 and 2016. I'm a snapshot Mormon. I can't speak to the things that happened before in the temple, nor can I speak to the changes that have happened since. So we become snapshot Mormons, representing only the version of Mormonism that was active when we were active. And with regard to the Mormon Temple, it's fascinating to me that my grandparents' temple experience was not the experience of my parents, and theirs was not my experience. And my children, who are temple-going Mormons, they would not recognize the temple that Grace and I called Mormon normal. They would simply not recognize it. Now, I have to ask you, especially those of you who watch this who are members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, is it likely that a God who knows all would reveal so many things as official policy and doctrine only to reverse them a few years later? Does that even make sense? All-powerful God can't decide? That's hard for me to understand. So I give you this, not that you will poke fun, not that you will attack the temple, but I ask you to consider the Mormon people. I want you to look on them with a sense of empathy and love, with some understanding of the struggle that they have. I want you to try to see them as the good people that they really are, and to try to understand the ongoing faith challenges that they face every single day. I want you to recognize that the truths they hold today are shifting sands that could be easily swept away tomorrow, and they all know it. And the struggle they have trying to make it all seem like God's truth. I share this with you so that you can lead them to a hope of assurance. I share this so that you can lead them to Jesus and the salvation that he promises. Share this so that you can lead them to the rock, our God, Jesus Christ, who never changes. Don't go after them with this information. Don't go after them with their doctrines. No, I share this with you so you can understand. Instead, go after them with Jesus. Go and share Jesus and let him lead them into the light. Hey, I'm Lance Earl. I'll see you soon.